Hey, what's up, everyone? Good morning. Welcome to today's analysis. As usual, I'll take you breakdown. I'll break down for you the markets and show you my perspective of the markets, what has been happening, the pairs that I normally trade. As usual, I'll touch a bit on cryptocurrencies today, just to see an overview of what I'm seeing happening in the markets. Just an insight I have, more or less, for those people interested in it, but I'll do that towards the end. I'll stick to what is more important first, which is the Forex Breakdown. So far, nothing much has happened for me this week. I've just been seeing Aussie dollar's been continuing with an uptrend. Gold, nothing much really. USD card as well, downtrend momentum has been continuing, and Dow Jones has also been shooting up. Okay, so I'll just break down. Let me share my screen. First, I'll start off with my journal, the journal that I normally have. I show you what I'm seeing. Okay, so if I start here, so this is this week's journal, the one that I shared on Discord, or if in our WhatsApp groups I shared this one. Okay, so I just had a quote for the week. This was on Monday. The news that was watching for this week, we had Monday Fed Powell speaking, Fed Chair Powell speaking. Tuesday, these are not really much market catalysts, and if you click on them, if you click on any of them, for example, if you click on this, it will just open another link. If you can go to, it will direct you to Trading Economics, so you can see it's just a breakdown of what is expected out of that news. Okay, so that's what I have on that, and then that's on my news. Okay, so nothing major really this week, unlike last week. Okay, and then I did a recap of how markets performed last week and what was expecting to see. And then starting off this week, I did a step-by-step process on Aussie dollar. Okay, so if you got this analysis, if you are able to look at it, I did a step breakdown from the daily time frame down to the 4-hour, and I didn't go to the 1-hour chart. I think I ended it at the 4-hour chart, so you can look at it and just look at my biases and what was having. And then the rest of the pairs, I just did a brief overview of what I was expecting to see in the markets. And as usual, I did that on my 4 pairs: the Aussie dollar, USD card, gold, and Dow Jones. Okay, so that's what I had on my journal. So you can still check it out. If you're in our Discord group, go to Market Structure channel and you'll find it. And if you're in our groups, I sent the links. I believe that was yesterday morning. Okay, so starting off, let's start and look at the dollar strength. Okay, well, what am I seeing on the dollar? So notice how the dollar has come from a downtrend, spotting my lower highs level, lows and lower highs, and turning into higher highs and higher lows levels. So I've gone marking them as well. So as long as we're respecting this trend line, as long as we're respecting the formation of the higher highs, higher lows, I'm still looking for this market to continue rallying. Of course, along the way we can expect some correction, and I won't be surprised to see this market even correcting deeper. Okay, you can notice the pattern that market has been forming at this top. Market has more or less been consolidating up here. Okay, so nothing much has been happening ever since. That was in, what date was that? That was ever since March, beginning of the month, about March 7th. Okay, ever since we got that top, market has just been a sideways movement, not creating a new high, not creating a new low. If you go to the 4-hour chart, you can get to see that sort of market came and retested the previous high. Okay, so we had this high, breakout, retest, move higher, did create a new high, retested that level, and then market sort of didn't create a new high yet again, and we're seeing sort of market pushing further low. Okay, so what I'm watching on this one, I just want to see if you can get a push to the downside, maybe come and respect this flag formation that is forming. Okay, how will you respect also this support level that market has rejected not once but twice? Will we reject it a third time or break it to the downside? If we break it, will we reject and respect this flag formation and then move higher, or will we break it and go lower back to the trend line? Okay, so those are the things I'm looking at. Those are the different biases I have. Also to the upside, also I'm watching to see, can we break this level? So I'm just waiting for market to give me that narrative. If we break to the upside, it's easy to see this market continuing with that rally to the upside. But for now, I'm sitting on the fence and waiting to see what market will tell me. I'm not really skewed to one side. I don't have a bias for one direction. I just want to see what market is going to tell me. Okay, so that's what I'll be watching on the dollar. Remember, you don't trade the dollar, we look at the dollar for the dollar strength sentiment, and then we go trade the other pairs. Okay, so now if you come to Aussie dollar and look at the daily chart, this is the one I did a basic down, an in-depth breakdown. Okay, so if you remember quite well, I showed that I was looking at this touch here. These are basically my lower highs. Okay, market has been forming lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower low, and this lower high over here is what I'm watching in line with that trend line formation. Okay, so as I was saying in my journal, unless we come and break above this previous high, okay, this previous high, we come and break above it, then I'll be seeing markets to continue to the upside. But as long as we're still respecting below this level, okay, below this lower highs, okay, I'm still expecting to see market continuing to the downside. However, I'm very open. If market breaks to the upside, breaks this trend line, breaks this resistance level at the 0.7550 level, then I won't be surprised to see market moving higher, because that will be anticipating that the dollar will be falling much lower after that steep upward trend. Okay, but on the flip side, if market is able to respect this trend line, okay, and close below the 0.7400 level, then I'll be looking and anticipating for that downward trend line to continue. Okay, if you look at the 4-hour chart, we had a flag formation which was completed very well to the upside. Okay, so if you look at this, we had a steep trend line. So we had this, a first touch, second touch, third touch in line with this ABC flag formation. You can see how steep that trend went all the way to the target. I was looking at this previous swing high. You can see I've labeled it my lower time frame swing high. That was the target to the upside, and I'm just watching this channel information. Can this channel be respected, market dangle around here and move to the downside, or will we break the previous higher time frame swing lower high and move to the upside, which will be changing my bias to be more bullish than I am bearish? But at the moment, I'm still looking for the bearish trends to be in control of the markets for now. Okay, so that's what I have on Aussie dollar. If you look at gold, on the other hand, I won't lie to you, gold has sort of been moving sideways. I don't really have any much bias on this one. I haven't deeply been in it. If you look at the daily chart, what I was looking at, you can see we have our significant line of support and resistance, quite a steep one, a big difference. Okay, but currently what I'm watching is this level, the 1950, and I journaled it as well. It's part of the journal. I was looking at this resistance. Look how market also rejected this time, broke above it and quickly came back below, and market hasn't broken back above it ever since. More or less what we've been getting, if you look at the 4 is more of a consolidation. Okay, so over here, ever since we broke below this level, broke below this trend line, market has just been in a sideways movement. Okay, so I don't have any much bias on this one. I just want to watch how market would respect the resistance level, this 1960 on the 4-hour and 1890 level to the downside. So that's what I'm watching for now. Not really biased to one direction the market to go. So I don't have anything much on this one. That's gold. If I go to US 30, US 30 has been pushing further up quite significantly. Okay, remember I shared this Dow theory that I had, market respecting the higher highs, higher lows level that I've marked. These are my higher lows, and then over here market started breaking below the previous higher low, moved up, created a new high, a new low. Okay, starting to form that sort of a direction of lower lows, lower highs, lower low, and we lost about more than 10% of the market within this whole move. Okay, but I don't really believe that this market is in a downtrend. Okay, I still expect market to continue moving up, especially with the fact that we came back and broke and closed above this resistance level. So you can see that support, market broke, acted as resistance, while market came for the second time to get resistance. We didn't get resistance, instead we got a break. Okay, and if you look at the 4-hour chart, you can see this started quite soon. Okay, we had this sort of steeper trend line which market tried to reject, tried to go below. Instead we got a double bottom over here, the 32,300 level. Market broke above that level, came and broke above the 34,000. Now it's breaking above the trend line. So this is a clear indication that market can be gearing up to continue that uptrend momentum, and sort of this bias is what I have with the cryptocurrencies as well. I'm looking for I believe the dollar, the bearish move was already priced into the markets, and we can easily see this market continuing into that bull trend that we're seeing over here, especially the fact that market has broken these levels. 34,000 was a significant level for me, because you can see this was a resistance here, resistance here, resistance. This trend line was broken, then we came and broke this resistance, and now we're breaking the trend line. So it's a good bias to have in line with this flag formation. Remember, this is a flag for me. a bigger time frame flag, an A, B, C. The last time we had such a flag was back here, this one here. You can see this sort of this one here. So market was in a good bull trend. Correction A, B, C, a big time flag, okay, respected that level, and then market started moving to the upside. So now we're also getting such a big one, okay, which market is already halfway moved, and our $37,000 mark is the target to the upside when the market is moving, if the market continues with the bullish momentum, okay. So that's what I'm watching on that one. That's US30. And last but not least, USD CAD has had a very wonderful down drop, especially after we got that drop last week, okay. But what I want to see this trend line. Remember, this is a trend line, these are levels. Remember, a trend line is just a diagonal level of support or resistance, depending on where it is. Like if it's at the bottom, it's a diagonal level of support. If it's at the top, it's a diagonal level of resistance. So I want to see this level of support. Look at this first touch, second touch, third touch, and see how this fourth touch market would respect it, how market would respect this level. We've come with a lot of momentum, but I still want to pay attention to how market is going to respect it. If you look at the 4-hour chart, we came with this momentum, and this is what we were talking about last week on Friday. Look at that rejection. Market closed above that level, quickly came back below it, tried to break back above it, and quickly came back below it. So that shows you the path of least resistance is to the downside, because the upside market is being rejected, not once, not twice, but for a third time. And that's why you can see this massive bearish momentum came into play, okay. But now you're seeing there's a lot of accumulation here. So also that's what I'm watching. I'm not really biased to any, so I want to see what's happening here. Will we get a rejection and a close above this level, the 1.2620 level, which we've been talking about for many weeks, ever since market entered into this sideways movement. I want to see if we break above, if we reject this level, break and close above that level, and look for momentum to continue to the upside. But if you start breaking below, strong momentum to the downside, then that's a clear breakout to the downside, that market is continuing with the downtrend. Especially if you look at the daily chart and market closes a candlestick and closes below that level, that will be indicating that this market is clearly rejecting the upward move and moving lower. But on the flip side, remember, I always have two biases supporting both sides. What is the upside bias and what is my downside bias? Then I try and look for a higher probability that supports either side working, okay. So that's what I'm watching. That's what I'm watching on this one. If I just do a rough analysis on the others, Euro USD sort of market was in a good downtrend for the past very long time, just like inversely related to the dollar index, okay. So you can see that lower lows, lower high, lower low. You can see this false breakout of the trend line that we had. Quickly market broke back below and we created a new low, okay. Right now we're seeing that market is respecting the previous resistance, a support level, now support and resistance, and that's where market is dangling at. Even at the 4-hour chart, you can see sort of that's where market is sort of playing around, okay. So you want to watch that level. I don't trade this pair, so that's just a bias I have. I'm just watching to see how the dollar is being respected with respect to the euro, okay. So that's what I'm watching on this one. GBP USD, I think it's almost the same thing. It's like GBP USD, if you go to the daily chart, market has respected this channel like formation. You can see this channel respected the downside, came and respected again. Look at that massive correction. So I want to see how market will come and respect here, okay. The 1.3365 level, okay, previous resistance, previous support, we broke it. Now it can act as resistance. Let's watch that level. Market can easily, it looks like a magnetic level, that market is just being pulled back to that level. Then we'll know what to do after market reaches that level, okay. So with that said, if I look at cryptocurrencies, I'm just paying attention to things like Bitcoin. They're sort of inside a triangular formation, okay. So I try and adopt my technical analysis in order to get good entries and exits on cryptocurrencies for long-term investments, not short-term, okay, and not for trading as well. So long-term, you can hold this thing for about a year or even 2. So I'm watching this level. This is Bitcoin. If you look at Ethereum, same thing is happening here. Look at that sideways movement. in the form of a symmetric triangular formation. As a rule of thumb, what I normally have when it comes to triangles is a break of either side. It's normally good to be patient to wait for market to break to either side. I don't have any bias, like I'm saying, to the downside or to the upside. I'm just paying attention to how market will react to either side of the boundaries, either to the upside or downside, and the path that market breaks will become my path of least resistance, and I want to be investing in that side. So that's what I'm watching, and you can see we've been within this sideways for quite some time. Okay, so that's what I'm watching. Then I'll as well as things like Solana. So Bitcoin and Ethereum are just giving me a bigger time frame analysis of what to expect, and then I come to the other smaller altcoins, what we call alternative coins, and look for where to invest, so to say. Okay, so that's what I'm watching. I'll go and watch this one very soon. I think it's becoming ripe. That's what I wanted to break it down. It's a ripe level that market is building up. A breakout is about to come sooner or later. Okay, so let's watch on that. That's what I'm gearing up. Another thing that I'm also watching in terms of cryptocurrencies is interest rates were increased the other day, and not much was affected in this pair. I think it was already priced in when markets started dropping at this level. That was back in November when they announced they're going to be increasing interest rates in March. And right now, we're not really getting any crazy significant movement to the upside or downside. So meaning, I think that downward momentum was priced in. I don't believe we're really much inside a deep downward market, bear market. I still believe we're in a bull market. This was just a bit of corrections along the way. So that's what I'm watching. That's what I'm really watching at the moment. Okay, so I think I'll end it there. I don't have much to say, but that's what I'm watching when it comes to the cryptos and to the pairs that I'm normally trading. Apart from that, I don't see anything. I don't see much questions in the chat room. Does anyone have a question? Anything you want to ask? Apart from that, if no one has anything, I think I'll just end it there. I think there are a few classes about to start here in our office. So here's one question. So Daisy is asking, what is your take on the notion that you should trade on Mondays and Tuesdays? Oh, good question. So I used to have that notion long time. I used to say I don't trade markets on Monday and Tuesday. There's a lot of fake outs. Market is going to do this and that. I used to be like that, and I remember Ken used to complain like, why do you have a bias? Why can't you trade Monday and Tuesday, then come and trade Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? So I used to have that bias, and I sort of refined it. These days I don't do that. The reason being, I'm not trading the day for what it is. I'm trading a certain pattern. Okay, so there are certain patterns that I'm normally watching, and if that pattern has formed on a Monday, I'll take my trade on Monday. If it forms on a Friday, I'll take my trade on Friday. Okay, so I don't have a fixed day to say I don't trade these certain days, because I'm not trading days, I'm trading patterns. Okay, so it's very important to note that. It's like the same thing I was sharing last week on Friday. Very important to know your trading time frame, to know which time frame you're normally trading. So if you start going and trading, if your trading time frame is 4 hours and you start trading 15 minutes, then you're being confused. Okay, so same thing when it comes to patterns. I'll focus on the patterns and not the days. So to answer your question, that's what I do, Daisy. If my pattern forms on Monday, I'll trade it. On Wednesday, I'll trade it. On Friday, I don't have any bias to it. I'll take that trade. So I'm always alert during the week. Plus, I'm a swing trader, so I won't take a trade and close it unless the market moves with momentum and closes within a day or two. But on other hands, I'll just take a trade and wait for the stop loss or TP to be hit. Cool. So I see you say thank you. You're welcome. Any other question? Maybe one more before I end it. So I see no other question. So allow me to end it there, guys. I'll upload this video on YouTube as usual, then you can always go through it and do your analysis. But so far, just to do a recap, I've done a recap of those pairs. I don't have any trade running. The last pair that we had was the Aussie dollar, which already finished its move moved down earlier on. Was it Monday and Tuesday market move? We've been seeing that was last week. Monday market moved to those new highs. Okay, so that's what I'm watching. I don't have any trade at the moment, sitting on cash and just waiting for, like a sniper. What does a sniper do? Waits for the market to waits for the target to get into the corner, and they take the shot. So that's what I'm waiting on most of my pairs. I don't have any trade running. So cool. So I think I'll end it there. Have a wonderful week, guys. May the peeps be with you.